Whenever you ask what sort of superpower somebody wishes they could have, they'll oftentimes be serious about it, and they'll talk about how they wish they could fly, or lift heavy objects, or control the flow of time, or something to that effect. And then sometimes you'll get the goofy person who says that they wish they could fall asleep as soon as their head hits the pillow, something everybody can relate to, except me. Because I have never, at any point in my life, laid in bed, staring at the wall or the ceiling or my phone or any of that, wishing to Christ that I could just fall asleep instantaneously so I don't have a shite day at work the next day. There's never been a problem that I've had. And that's not a blessing. That's not a superpower. It's a curse. And I'm willing to explain why if you'll shush and let me tell you. The first time that I discovered that being able to fall asleep instantaneously is a problem is whenever I was about 16 and I was driving my mother home from a shopping spree that she had just gone on. It was about 5 o'clock in the evening. I'd had a pretty long day. I'd had a lot of homework that I had to do, and then I had to drive my mother to the store so that she could go shopping, and she's sitting there in the passenger seat droning on about the deal that she got on hairspray or shampoo or something to that effect. And it just was so incredibly boring. I love my mother to death, but if there's one thing I hate in life, it's beavers. But if there's two things in life that I hate, it's having to be bored. It's having nothing to do and nothing to hear and nothing to see that is in any way mentally stimulating. And again, I love my mama, but I don't want to hear about shampoo. I don't want to hear about the intricacies of lining up the coupons with whenever there's a sale on a product in a specific region. That is terrible. I can't stand it. And so I fell asleep at the wheel of a vehicle moving 65 miles an hour down an interstate. And it's not a disorder that I've been diagnosed with or anything to that effect. I can't remember the last time I went to the doctor. But that's besides the point. Being able to fall asleep instantaneously has put me in a variety of dangerous situations, worse than falling asleep at the wheel, if you can believe it. That nothing came of that, by the way. I did not smash into any oncoming traffic or take out a road sign or a caution cone or Bambi or any of that. But it was the first time that I really remember falling asleep instantaneously, the moment that there isn't a shiny object for me to look at and be dazzled by, becoming a serious problem. One time, I was on a construction site. Yeah, we're fast forwarding way past the age of 16 now. I was on a construction site in Bluffton, South Carolina. We were building a hotel. And this hotel was this big luxury place with like resort-style swimming pool, and it had a bowling alley, and it was delightful. I loved working at this job site. After I found something to do. The first day that I spent out there, I spent being effectively a pile of goo. Nobody knew who I was. I was a recent hire. I'd been hired in about the past year. Nobody knew what I was capable of. I was the helper. And I was given a task to do that would hopefully take me a while so that they didn't have to look at me again. And that task was to go up into the attic above the men's bathroom outside the social hall at the west end of the hotel, because this hotel had a social hall for weddings and that sort of thing. And I needed to get up in the attic and wire up a duct detector. Now, the duct detector, D-U-C-T, not D-U-C-K, it's not detecting ducks. The duct detector is a device which detects whenever smoke is passing through an air duct, and it slams the duct shut to prevent the circulation of smoke throughout a building during a fire. And that was my job. It's a simple job. Duct detectors are very easy to wire up, and it should have been easy in and out job. I knew more than what I was letting on, and I knew more than they thought I did, what they were giving me credit for, so I could have gone the easy route and just clambered up there and gotten it wired up and come back down and go and tell the superintendent, hey man, got it done. I'm not quite as dumb as you think I am. And I wanted to do that. Actually, that's what I went up there intending to do. I intended to get that job done in and out in 5 minutes. But the problem was there was no, ladder access to the attic that was like hard built into the building where you just pull down the little chain and the ladder drops down. There wasn't one of those. Instead, what I had to do was I had to go into the men's bathroom and I had to set a 14-foot A-frame ladder over the toilet so that I could get up to a lay-in 2x2 light fixture. which is effectively a trap door, but it's a light fixture. Just think of it that way. And I pushed the light fixture up out of the way, slid it out of the way, and climbed up into the ceiling like that. That's not a fixed ladder. So what is that? What does that mean on a construction site? Well, if something's not bolted down, it's going to get taken. That's how construction sites are. I don't care if you've got armed guards on a construction site. You're going to have people stealing your shit. And I didn't know that very well at the time. I just clambered up the ladder, had my tools, had my wire, had everything I needed to get the job done. And I get the duct detector wired up in 5 minutes. I was so proud of myself. I could see the look on that superintendent's face already in my mind. I knew he was going to be flabbergasted whenever I came down there and presented him this task, which I had completed to the fullest and to the best of my ability. It was perfect, and it was time for another task. So I got all my tools. I got my remaining materials that I had brought up there for doing the task, and I went back to the access hole, and the ladder was gone. Somebody, during the time that it had taken me to get this duct detector wired up in the attic, had taken my 14-foot A-frame ladder away. I don't know how I didn't hear him, but sure enough, it was gone. And it was only a 14-foot drop down into the men's toilet to get out of the attic. I mean, you can understand my plight here. I couldn't get down. There was no other way out of the attic. There were no other access holes. There wasn't, God forbid, there was an actual ladder somewhere that was bolted to the wall. I was trapped, and I could not call my superintendent, or for that matter, anyone else, because there's no cell phone reception in Bluffton, South Carolina, or anywhere in South Carolina outside of Charleston for that matter, but especially in this location inside of a big old cinder block building, you're not going to be able to get anybody on the phone. Your signal is dead. So I was stuck, and I yelled, and I screamed, and I carried on, and I made a bunch of noise, trying to signal some passerby to come and save me, and to no avail. I was hoarse by the end of it from yelling my lungs out. So I did what any rational person would do, and I climbed up on top of the 12-inch diameter air duct that I had just finished working on, and I fell asleep for 5 hours in that attic. A 5-minute job turned into 5 hours because some bitch took my ladder. Now, it wasn't just any air duct. It was a round air duct, not little square ones that you see sometimes. It was something that I had to actively keep my balance on, realistically. I'm not a very heavy person, obviously. I mean, you've seen me before. I would assume if you're watching this video, you've definitely seen me before. There's not a whole lot of meat on these bones, and there's not a whole lot of pressure that those air ducts can take before they start to squish. Any HVAC person who watches this would hate me for falling asleep on top of an air duct, because they can get compressed and they can get broken really, really quick and easy if you're not careful with them. But also it was round. It's like the chicken laying the egg on the peak of the roof and the egg not rolling off is effectively the laws of physics that had to be violated by me falling asleep on top of this air duct. But also, ducts are suspended from duct straps, and the duct straps are very thin pieces of metal which go up to the beams of the building to suspend the air duct in place. They're very sharp. They are, as a matter of fact, I almost cut my thumb completely off on a duct strap in an elementary school about 2 years ago. I had to go get stitches. It was pretty ugly. But I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know that duct straps were that bit of a deal. So in order to keep myself balanced on top of this round air duct, I wedged my head in between two duct straps on the head end of my body as I laid atop this round surface. And I wedged my feet between duct straps down there at the other end. I was just long enough to be able to fit between these duct straps, so that had two right here by my neck and two down there by my feet. If I had shifted at all while I slept, I would have decapitated myself. And 5 hours is a very long time and many, many opportunities for me to have shifted my weight a little bit. I don't know how I survived that in hindsight. I mean, by all rights, I should be dead because of my incredible ability to instantaneously fall asleep. But not just to be able to fall asleep if I decide to. I can't stay awake if I'm not doing something. If I am not actively working or playing a video game or sitting in front of a camera 10 minutes before I need to be working and blathering on to nobody about the stupid shit I've done, I will start falling asleep. If life wasn't so fucking boring, I probably wouldn't have this issue. But I cannot sit still for longer than 15 seconds before I start dozing off. And I've tried, coming up with solutions, tried to manage my energy and tried to have a little enthusiasm, maybe act a certain way to get my buzz up, and never makes a difference. I'm just tired. I always have been. I have never been able to just exist without doing something. And the instant that I'm not doing something, I start to shut down. I don't know that is a common issue that people have whenever they simply have the ability to fall asleep the instant they are in a position to do so. But I know I have that issue. And lately it's been seriously problematic at home because whenever I get done with a 12-hour day at work and get done with the hour and a half drive home, I get inside, I take a shower, and if I do not fall asleep in the shower, I'll fall asleep at my dinner table or I'll fall asleep in my desk chair. I'll fall asleep basically anywhere I come to rest. Doesn't matter if I'm laying in my bed or not. Sometimes it doesn't matter if I'm out of my truck. And I could have some sort of mental disorder. Can't imagine that I would. I mean, I'm the most normal person in the world. But, regardless, don't ever say that you wish being able to fall asleep immediately was a superpower. I wish that I could just lay there bored stiff for a couple hours and not immediately start dozing off, because that means I could do things in that 2 hours that I'm waiting to fall asleep. I could do my laundry, for example, or do the dishes, or any other number of things. With that being said, bye.